Welcome back to my channel, The Coins World, the channel where history, mystery, and value come together in every coin we discuss. Today we are going to dive deep into the story of one of the most fascinating coins of the 20th century, the 1941 Liberty Wheat Penny. Now, before we get into the details, let me tell you this: if you happen to own this coin, it might just turn the tables for you. Stick around until the very end of the video, because I will share how much this coin can be worth in today's market, and how you can sell it for the best price. And at the end, I'll ask you to comment the word price in the comment section, and I'll personally tell you its real selling value and the exact process of how to sell it safely and profitably. The 1941 Liberty Wheat Penny was minted during a turning point in world history. The United States had not yet entered World War II, but the conflict was already raging across Europe and Asia. The production of this coin took place under those looming circumstances, giving it not just monetary value, but also historical depth. Every penny struck in 1941 carries with it the weight of a nation preparing for one of the greatest struggles in human history, designed by Victor David Brenner. The obverse side of the 1941 Liberty Wheat Penny features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln. This portrait was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and by 1941 it had already become a national symbol of honesty, unity, and strength. The design remained unchanged, giving this coin a sense of continuity and tradition, linking Americans through generations. On the reverse side, the coin proudly displays two wheat stalks arching along the edges, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above sits the motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one. These wheat stalks symbolize prosperity, labor, and growth, a theme that resonated deeply with Americans who were still recovering from the Great Depression while facing the threat of another global conflict. The 1941 Wheat Penny was struck at 3 different U.S. mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia mint coins bore no mint mark, while the Denver mint coins carried a small D, and the San Francisco coins a small S. Collectors often look for these mint marks, as they can greatly influence the rarity and value of a coin. In terms of production, the numbers were staggering. More than 887 million pennies were minted in 1941, making it one of the most common years for wheat pennies. But here's the twist: while the coin might be common in general, the real treasure lies in its variations, mint marks, and above all, its condition. A 1941 penny found in your pocket change today may not be worth much more than a cent, but in high grades, or with special errors, it can fetch impressive sums. Error coins are particularly fascinating. In 1941, misstrikes and double dies occurred at certain mints, and these coins are now prized by collectors. For example, the 1941 double die obverse shows doubling in Lincoln's eye and inscriptions. These rare varieties have been sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars depending on their grade. Grading is another key factor in determining value. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state by professional services like PCGS or NGC. A well-circulated 1941 penny may only be worth a few cents, while an uncirculated mint state red coin can be worth hundreds. And if you add an error or unique variety into the mix, the price can climb even higher. On platforms like eBay, collectors actively buy and sell 1941 Liberty Wheat pennies every single day. Prices vary widely depending on grade and rarity. Common circulated examples may sell for under $1, while certified high-grade coins often bring in anywhere between $50 to $200. Rare errors, on the other hand, can skyrocket to several $1,000s, especially if they're graded and slabbed by a professional grading company. Auctions also play a major role in driving up the value of rare 1941 wheat pennies. Some have fetched incredible prices at well-known auction houses. A particularly sharp mint state red 1941 penny, with flawless luster and no scratches, has sold for more than $5,000 at auction. This shows how dramatically the value can change when rarity and condition align perfectly. But beyond monetary worth, the 1941 Liberty Wheat Penny represents a piece of American resilience. This was a coin that circulated during the last year before the US entered. World War II. Imagine the hands it passed through: farmers, factory workers, shopkeepers, and soldiers to be. Each penny carried the silent story of an uncertain era, of families preparing for what was to come, of a nation standing on the edge of history. Collectors also treasure this coin because it belongs to the Wheat Penny series, which ran from 1909 to 1958. Many collectors strive to complete full sets, and 1941 is a crucial piece of that puzzle. Because of its large mintage, it is often an entry point for beginner collectors, while era and high-grade versions keep advanced. Collectors deeply engaged. Now here's where it gets exciting for you. If you happen to have a 1941 Liberty Wheat penny sitting in an old jar, tucked away in a drawer, or perhaps handed down from a grandparent, you might be holding more than just a piece of history. You could be holding something worth far more than its face value. And with platforms like eBay, heritage auctions, and other online coin markets, you have the chance to turn that coin into real profit. Earlier, did I mention that if you own this coin, it might turn the tables for you? Well, that's no exaggeration. A coin that looks ordinary to the untrained could actually be rare, valuable, and highly sought after. Collectors are constantly searching for clean, uncirculated
of wheat framing the denomination 1 cent. This reverse design remained until 1958, after which it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. The Wheat Penny series spanned nearly 50 years, covering many important periods of U.S. history from World War I, the Great Depression, World War II, and into the early Cold War era. 1955, the Lincoln Wheat Penny had been in production for almost half a century. That year, pennies were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, though the Philadelphia Mint was the most notable because of a very famous minting error. The Philadelphia Mint struck more than 330 million cents, but what made 1955 so memorable was a minting mistake that became legendary in coin collecting. 1955 Wheat Penny is best known for its double die obverse DDO error. One of the most famous and valuable coin errors in U.S. history. This error happened during the hubbing process when the working die was misaligned and impressed twice at slightly different angles. As a result, the lettering and date on the obverse appear doubled and extremely bold. Collectors can clearly see doubling on the words, "Liberty in God We Trust," and the date, 1955. Unlike many minor doubled dies, this one was so dramatic that it was impossible to miss even in pocket change. When the error was discovered, the U.S. Mint debated whether to recall the coins. However, because thousands had already been mixed with normal pennies, officials decided it was too late and let them circulate. Approximately 20,000 to 24,000 doubled die cents are believed to have entered circulation, many of which were spent in everyday commerce. Interestingly, these coins often appeared in the Boston and New England region, which is where collectors first began to notice them in circulation. Once news spread, the 1955 double die penny quickly became a sensation. For the first time, ordinary Americans were actively checking their change, hoping to find one of these rare error coins. This phenomenon helped spark a larger interest in coin collecting across the United States. By the late 1950s and early 1960s, the 1955 double die had become the holy grail of modern error coins. Even collectors with little interest in numismatics had heard about it. The 1955 double die penny is still one of the most desirable U.S. error coins. An uncirculated example 1955 double die is not just a coin, it represents a turning point in U.S. coin collecting. Before its discovery, error coins were not widely collected. After 1955, interest in minting errors grew rapidly, leading to more discoveries and fueling the modern numismatic market. 1955 America was entering a new phase of prosperity after World War II. The economy was booming, suburban life was spreading, and consumer culture was at its peak. The penny, though the smallest denomination, was still widely used in daily commerce. Items like a cup of coffee, a newspaper, or a piece of candy often cost just a few cents, so the Lincoln Wheat penny remained highly relevant to everyday life. Unlike later decades when inflation made the cent less useful, the penny in 1955 still carried real purchasing power. This made the circulation of the double die error even more impactful. As millions of people encountered pennies every single day, the Philadelphia Mint was the primary producer of cents in 1955, striking over 330 million coins that year. The Mint still relied heavily on manual hubbing techniques, which increased the chance for misalignments and double dies. Because the Mint had such high production goals, efficiency was prioritized over perfection. When the dramatic double die was discovered, officials considered removing it, but given the volume of coins already mixed into circulation, they allowed them to pass, unknowingly creating one of the most iconic collectibles in U.S. history. While the double die steals the spotlight, the regular 1955 penny also holds historical significance. It represents one of the last few years of the wheat reverse design, which ended in 1958, for collectors building complete wheat penny sets. The 1955 is essential regardless of whether it's an error coin. It is also one of the more common mid-1950s dates, often found in coin rolls even decades later. But in uncirculated condition, it still appeals to serious collectors. The fame of the 1955 double die marked a cultural shift in coin collecting. Before this, most collectors focused on key dates like the 1909s, VDB, or 191 for descent. The double die variety introduced the idea that minting mistakes could be just as valuable as low mintage coins. Newspapers ran stories about the coin, and children across the U.S. began searching through their pocket change and piggy banks. This was one of the earliest times coin collecting entered mainstream popular culture in America. 1955 double die also became one of the most counterfeited U.S. coins. Many fakes were created by altering normal 1955 cents or producing mechanical doubling to mimic the error. As a result, authentication became crucial, and it gave rise to the role of professional grading services decades later. Today, collectors only trust examples certified by grading companies like PCGS or NGC. 1955. A penny was worth far more than today. Adjusted for inflation, 1 cent in 1955 is roughly equivalent to 12 cents in today's money. With that in mind, finding a double die penny in your change back then was like finding a small fortune considering what it's worth today. This context helps explain why so many circulated examples exist. Most people in the 1950s didn't think to save error coins.